The Washington Commanders overcome 5 turnovers with Jaden Daniels 5 touchdowns to beat the filthy Eagles 36-33. Looking forward to all the trash talking coming here on our live instant reaction here on Ref the District.
Yeah, it's Ref the District. Come on now and join us.
Let's go. Let's go.
Let's go.
The district here. Nathan Perry, Stoner. We've got people in the chat crying already here. Real deal saying he's fitting to cry. Doug, what can overcome turnovers? Playmakers. Washington Commanders, 5 turnovers on the day, but it's a touchdown in the closing seconds to win it over the Philadelphia Eagles 36-33. I'm in the onesie for the 3rd week in a row for the Washington Commanders. This win officially eliminated the Dallas Cowboys from playoff contention. This is a double victory here, Stoner, and I'm losing it. I'm loving it. The Washington Commanders came in here underdogs against the Eagles. And you would know that if you head over to Bet Online, who continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your #1 source of online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, Bet Online provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. If you were watching it and looking at the live betting, you knew as soon as Kenny Pickett came in, that line changes and you had put money on Washington winning right there with the largest of selection of odds on everything. Football, NBA, college basketball, NHL, UFC. They've got you covered over at Bet Online. Head over there today. Don't forget to use the promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, for your welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online. The game starts here. Of course, I encourage you to bet responsibly and never bet on your Washington Commanders because it's already a heart attack, Stoner. Man. Already a heart attack. I did call it though. You can talk to my cowboy loving in-laws. I said we're going to win this game. Maybe I called it a little differently. I called the touchdown on the one drive to Zacchaeus. And I said, we're going to stop them and go down and get a field goal. Didn't quite happen that way. But I love the way this happens. And absolutely Captain Obvious with $2 donation super chat. JD5 is him. And if that is the one thing you take away from this game is Jaden Daniels, those 2 interceptions, the first one sailed on him, completely on him. The second one, a weird interception, but 4th down runs and big time plays coming from JD5 and Captain Obvious. Appreciate you. Just one fantastic game. Let me read over some stats here. Yes, Jaden Daniels, 24 for 39, 257 yards, 5 touchdowns, those 2 interceptions, only sacked 1 time. Jaden Daniels also the leading rusher, 9 carries for 82 yards, doing damage with his legs. And this is something we talked about with Lee Mayock. This is a healthy Jaden Daniels, a different Jaden Daniels than these Eagles played last time. Remember, Eagles top 5 defense coming into this game. The rest of the running game, not really there. They ran the ball 24 times total. 10 of those were Brian Robinson for 24 yards. Obviously not a good average there. Chris Rodriguez only used 3 times. McNichols twice. Zacchaeus, your leading receiver, 5 catches, 70 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a revenge game for Zacchaeus. Terry McLaurin getting his 5, 59 and a touchdown. Turnovers were killing us, but the defense doing their job to keep this team in here. And absolutely, we have a lot of great people here. Even Nelman over on our Facebook. What a game! Sweet damn like button, revenge is what it is. Yeah, make sure you hit that like button.
Yeah, man.
You share it with your friends so that way you can share in the revelry that is beating the Eagles, preventing them from clinching the NFC East, knocking out Dallas from playoff contention, and almost all but certainly locking Washington into a playoff spot. So have some work to do. Atlanta did win today. We're going to be talking about that later this week, probably on Boxing Day. More to come on that later. But Stoner,
damn,
I've talked enough. Exciting stuff, ad reads, everything. What do you got for me?
This game had everything. And we begged this team to get that signature win. Get the monkey off your back. You saw the stat at the beginning. They're 9-1 against non-playoff teams. They're 0-4 against playoff teams. They needed this win for a bazillion reasons, but the biggest one is for their psyche. The way people are going to start looking at them on the outside now. You just beat a 12-2 team. Mm-hmm. You just beat a 12-2 team. Now, I totally get it. a 12-2 team that was without their quarterback for most of the game. That's fine. I don't care how you do it. You do it. You beat a good team. Everyone wants to talk about the best part of this team is their defense. They just put 36 on the number one defense when they turned the ball over 4 times. 5 times? How many times did they turn the ball over?
5 turnovers.
5 turnovers plus turnover on downs. So really 6 turnovers against the number one defense. And Jaden Daniels went out there and willed this team all the way to the end when they looked down and out at the beginning of the game. Completely down and out, 14-0. What they were doing, what Philadelphia was doing to Washington in that first quarter was embarrassing. Saquon Barkley had 109 yards and 2 touchdowns in the first quarter. And then you know what? Washington said, enough of this crap.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to load the box and we're going to make Jalen Hurts beat us. And then he got hurt. And then they said, well, we know Kenny Pickett's not going to hurt us. And although Kenny Pickett did fairly well for a little bit, they loaded that box and said, Saquon, you're not going to beat us. I don't remember the exact stat, but Greg Olsen said it, like in that first quarter, his first 7 carries, something like that. He wasn't even touched for the first 7 yards on average. Mm-hmm. And then on his next 18 carries, 11 was behind the line of scrimmage. He was hit. So it was a completely different game from that point on. We kind of played them even until we got that touchdown in the end. It was an amazing game. You showing why Jaden Daniels is him. He's going to be the rookie of the year. He's going to be in the top 10 in MVP. Sorry if you don't like that. He is going to be there. And this is the signature win, Nathan. This is the one they had to have. If you lost this game and you beat Atlanta and you beat Dallas, then it's just kind of like, you're just kind of squeaking in the playoffs.
Yeah.
This was a massive win for this organization on 100 different levels.
Got a couple people here in Super Chat I'm going to get to here. First, again, obvious. Terry has 12 receiving touchdowns this year. That ties a record for Washington and put to bed this whole Guantanamo Bay stuff.
Yeah, Guantanamo Bay is a little overrated.
Way overrated. He did great there. Thanks again for Terry McLaurin doing wide receiver 1 things. And our buddy,
hey, Archie Cat.
Congrats, guys. Great game. Showed some heart. We appreciate you, John, jumping in here. That's a Green Bay fan. We're no offense, John, but we are kind of hoping you guys slip up so we get the 6th seed instead of the 7th seed. So no offense, but we do appreciate the donation there and checking in with us here on Ref the District.
So fired up.
The Eagles fans were all over us all week, Stoner.
Yeah.
Joe Dock in here from the Eagles right now. Kenny Pickett almost beat y'all. If we had Hurts, the game would be over. No, I want to dispel this right now. This was a close game. Don't get me wrong, but this was only a close game because of 5 turnovers.
That's
and
correct.
As you mentioned, a turnover on downs. But that's a good defense from Philadelphia there.
Oh, it's a great
But this
defense.
is a good defense that Washington just put up 36 points on while giving up the ball 5 times. Kenny Pickett didn't almost beat us. Jalen Hurts didn't almost beat us. Saquon Barkley didn't almost beat us. Washington Commanders almost beat themselves.
That's right.
Were able to overcome it. So I don't want to hear. I love it. Bring it on.
Kenny Pickett was 14 of 24 for 143 yards. He averaged 6 yards per pass, and he had the 1 touchdown. And by the way, that one drive that I think they ended up with just a field goal. I don't remember. It was all pass interference penalties. It wasn't Kenny Pickett. Yeah. Like Nathan said, that was Marshawn Lattimore that gave you that drive. So I know what Eagles fans are going to do. They're going to go and they're going to give all the excuses in the world that Hurts was hurt and couldn't play, and they still almost beat us. Mm-hmm. Well, fine. I don't care. That's a win. How many times has Washington had guys hurt? In the last game where you barely beat Washington, Jaden Daniels was hurt in that game. He was not the Jaden Daniels that you saw today running and zigzagging all over your defense, your number 1 defense.
That move 5 he put on, who was it on the 4th down run he made look silly?
Was that Carter?
Was it Carter? Number 98, I want to say.
Yeah, 98.
Oh my goodness. Carter thought he was going to have him, and Jaden Daniels just stops and goes to the right. And Carter, you just see keep going across the screen. Filthy.
Washington won this game not because Jalen Hurts was hurt. They won this game because Jaden Daniels was not hurt. And Jaden Daniels did the things to Philadelphia that he could have done the last game if he wasn't hurt. He was running everywhere. He threw 5 touchdowns, Nathan, against the number 1 pass defense in the league. 5. 2 to a guy who played on Philly last year.
Yeah. A guy who's largely been kind of relegated to, wide receiver 4 or 5. Yeah. And actually, I guess you can say that he was benched on special teams. You didn't see him out there. It was Jamison Crowder recovering punts. Now, I will say, if there's one thing Gus pointing out here, the Philadelphia fans want to hold on to, okay? You can thank Santa Devontae Smith, who did drop what would have been a first down catch.
Massive drop.
And he's going to have nightmares over that. And so if you wanted, you can maybe, say that kind of maybe had a play there, but that wouldn't have been game over. That still had plenty of time left for Washington to do what they needed to do. True. But that did contribute.
True. But like you said earlier, Nathan, for every one of those, you can say the drop by Devontae Smith, the drop by Barkley on that toss over the top on Bobby Wagner, right? That he kind of fumbled and then ended up getting knocked out. For every one of those, you can say, yeah, but Brian Robinson fumbled twice. Yeah, but 2 kind of fluky type interceptions. Yeah, but De'Ami Brown fumbled. If they hadn't done all of those, then Devontae Smith wouldn't have been in the position to drop that pass. So mistakes on their side, mistakes on our side. In the end, it came down to what? It came down to Jaden Daniels having an opportunity in the 2-minute drill to move the ball all the way down the field, not to kick a field goal. He had to go all the way into the end zone with 5 seconds left and threw an absolute dime to Jamison Crowder, who, when he threw it, was not open. It was a brilliant route. It was a brilliant throw, and it was brilliant on all levels because of the situation that they were in. They had 5 seconds left. Unbelievable job by Jaden Daniels. If you didn't believe he was him before, you better believe it now.
Yeah, this is a game, by the way, that was Fox lone game to be played across pretty much all of America. A lot of eyes on this game today. Got to see Jaden Daniels do absolutely fantastic things. Of course, Dilly Philly comes in here. We appreciate you. Y'all delusional. You all know the game plan changed, period. No CJ Gardner. Smith drop pass. Y'all needed this. We in the playoffs, and we'll spank you dirty next game, and you all keep it real. Thanks for dilly. But the scoreboard is what I'm going to tell you right now. 36-33. Washington won, despite the fact that they turned it over 5 times. Okay.
And the change game plan. What about Lattimore going out in the 4th quarter when you had to have Benjamin St. Just covering AJ Brown on a 4th down pass? That's a change of game plan.
Yeah, I had left the room and I came back in and I see 25 on AJ Brown and I'm like, what happened? Please tell me why I'm watching this nightmare right now. Yeah. Like, are you kidding me? Because I had every bit of faith Washington was going to come back and win this game, because I told us in the group chat in the first half, 3 turnovers, Washington only beat themselves, right? And then with Kenny Pickett coming in, like this was a no-go. And it was just, I feel like even if Jalen Hurts was there, this game would not have ever been out of hand. And on the Philly side of things, right? I don't think they were going to score more than what they already scored. Kenny Pickett didn't, he wasn't great, but Jalen Hurts isn't a great passer. Hasn't been for the last few weeks. Okay,
except for last week, but for the rest of the time, you're right.
Yeah, he tried to prove it,
Absolutely.
But it is what it is. Washington winning this one, just fantastic. Loved it. Loved hearing the crowd shift too early on.
Oh, yeah.
In the broadcast, it sounded like a Philly. Philly area, right? They call it Link South up north and everything. Towards the end, you can tell that it's shifted back to Washington. And I loved it because I mentioned I had to step out of the room and something good happened and I could hear the cheering. And this was right at the switch, right? So I didn't know. I was like, okay, what happened? I'm running back into the room and they're like, Washington intercepted it. And I was like, so the all the cheering was Washington intercepting it, and it was just like, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Let's get a little bit more deep diving and stop talking about just generally the game here.
Yep. Let's do it.
Jaden Daniels, him christened, done good there.
Done.
The offense putting up 36 points against the number 1 defense. Now 22 of those points coming in the fourth quarter, Stoner, and the run game wasn't there outside of Jaden Daniels using his legs. What do you make of the offense being able to produce despite turnovers, despite the run game not being there? They didn't really stick with the run game, but they did I loved the way Cliff kind of integrated it late when they needed to come back in, even on that final drive. And you have Olsen talking about they got to put it up in the air. It's got to be out of bounds. And all of a sudden you see Brian Robinson picking up a first down with his legs.
Yep. Yeah, he didn't abandon the run fully. But what he also did in that fourth quarter, as you saw, he started dialing up short passes. Short passes, just dumping it over the middle and getting those 5 yards. It's just a run play, right? You know the guy's going to catch it. And so they started doing that because they knew they couldn't run. Then when it was obvious pass downs, then they would run the ball. And, of course, that gives you an advantage over a defense that is expecting the pass. But overall, the offense, look, it's really easy when you're watching the game and you see like Brian Robinson running into a pack of defenders and not getting anywhere and not making it on fourth down and having 3 and outs on the very first drive of the game. And in that moment, you're like, man, this offense is crap. But all you got to do is over the course of the game, watch what this offense does. And again, you're playing against the number 1 defense, Nathan. This isn't a top 5 defense. This is the number 1 defense in yards, number 1 defense against the pass, and the number 4 defense in points. This team was giving up 17-something points per game.
10 wins in a row.
10 wins in a row. And they went out and put 36 on them with 5 turnovers on offense. Not 5 turnovers on special teams in there.
Nope. This wasn't
all 5 on the offense.
This wasn't
That's
kickoff
5
fumbles.
drives that they could have scored more points. And this would have been a massive blowout, potentially.
Yep.
And they overcame that. So offensively, I thought they were great. I thought that Cliff was really good because he adjusted in the second half when he had to.
Yep.
And I thought the offense was an A+ this game. And I can be hard on Cliff, and I can be hard on this offense. But that was an A+ performance, especially considering who they did it against and what they did in that 2-minute drive.
Yeah. Honestly, it was a pleasure to watch. I was actually getting a little bit mad on the short screen game because Washington wasn't doing their job blocking it. And as Scooby, our friend from across the pond here, it felt like it showed all facets of the Skins game right now. Literally like a Serge Leone Western. The good, the bad, and the ugly.
Nice.
The ugly being 5 turnovers. The bad, not being able to get the run game off against the Philadelphia Eagles, but the good. Oh my goodness!
I didn't see a Serge Leone reference coming when we started this pod.
You can always trust Scooby to come up with some good ones. Some of them I can't share on the screen. This one was clean. I was able to do it. We appreciate you jumping in here. I want to talk about something on the ugly fact. Right, we had 5 turnovers on offense. One of them was a kind of a fluke, pass. The pass was.
I didn't think it was fluke, but
it bounced around into the Philadelphia Eagles' hands. I'm not gonna. That
was a bad pass. That was.
It wasn't a great pass, but it wasn't like the first pass where it sailed over Luke and was easily intercepted. That was a bad pass, right? But I'm going to focus a little bit more on Brian Robinson. And Jesse asked a question that I asked in the group chat as well.
Okay.
Robinson, this is from Jesse Mills here. Robinson deserved to be benched for a few series, to be honest. I like him, but he can't choke in the biggest game of the year in plus 50 field position. That was probably also one of the things is Washington was getting good field position and then giving it up here. I asked, should Robinson be benched in the same manner we saw Antonio Gibson benched because of turnovers? That kills drives, that kills momentum, that kills your team, really. And here we have Brian Robinson coughing it up twice. Yeah. And honestly, these weren't like fantastic defensive peanut punches. It just he wasn't holding on to the ball the way that he should as running back? Should he have been benched? That is the question right now.
Oh, of course he should have been benched, and he was benched for most of the game. You saw C-Rod. You saw McNichols in there getting the carries. But when it came down to it in the fourth quarter and they needed a hoss, they needed a big running back to get those tough yards, they came back to Brian Robinson. That's what they did with Gibby, right? Ron Rivera would bench him for a lot of the game and then bring him back at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fine. That's how you do it. That's accountability. You say, look, you're not going to play for the next couple of series. You need to sit over there and think about how you've really hurt this team's chances to win the game. And then come back in and do what you do. That's coaching, my friends. That is how it's supposed to be done. That's accountability. And that's also staying positive and believing in your guys. So I loved the move to do it, and it was the right move. And look how it wrapped up in the end.
Yeah, just wonderful here. And I think it's summed up a lot by JG. They keep telling us how they never give up. Believe it.
Yeah,
they know as long as Jaden Daniels is the quarterback for this team, they're never out of it. Absolutely fantastic to watch here. Now let's shift over to the defense real quick. Did give up 33 points, made Kenny Pickett look feasible, but really kind of clamped down in that second half, Stoner, where they scored 21 points in the first quarter, but they only scored 12 points.
Yeah.
After that, 4 field goals. And that's what allowed Washington. So tell me, what did you think of the defense? Because Will Diggs here pointing, Saquon had over 100 yards. He was not shut down. Now, he had over 100 yards in the first half. He had, I think, darn near, 100 in the first quarter.
Yeah.
And so after that, he had 50 yards after that first quarter. And
he did his damage.
He did. I mean, he did his damage though in that first quarter.
Yeah.
Really, Washington was able to do a good job in that second half. So tell me about the defense. What did you see? A lot of people loving Frankie Louvu. I think we got to get Louvu jerseys now. I think you just have to. The guy is a monster. Love that addition for Washington. He had a great game, but tell me about the defense, Stoner.
Yeah, Frankie Louvu really changed the game. We kind of forget about what happened in that first half when he had that interception. He changed the game. They were up 14-0 already, and Kenny Pickett was moving the ball, and then he steps in front of A.J. Brown. And by the way, that was not his man. He was not covering A.J. Brown, but he read Kenny Pickett's eyes, which is what you do to a bad quarterback, and stepped in and changed the game. And he was all over the field, and he was making tackles. He was getting in on the quarterback. He was making it hard for this offense to do anything. When you hold this Philadelphia offense, and again, Jalen Hurts is not in there, fine. But you still got Saquon. You still got A.J. Brown. You still got Devontae Smith. You got all of those weapons. You gave up 12 points in the second half, or from the second quarter on. 12 points. And remember, this team had given up the most points in the entire NFL in the fourth quarter this season. And in this game, they gave up 6. 2 measly field goals. They made stops when they had to make stops in the second half, especially. They were bad in the first quarter. We all know it. That's fine. They made the adjustments. And Bobby Wagner was all over the place again. And by the way, shout out to Mr. Sheldon Day, defensive tackle that we hadn't heard of a month ago, who's been balling his ass off and making plays for this team, and plays that other defensive tackles are not making. So I was really happy. He was popping all over the place. But Frankie Louvu, give him a lifetime contract right now. Him and Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin, and then you can figure out the rest, because those three are just absolute ballers.
I think it's exciting here for Washington fans because we finally have superstars again.
We have some superstars, 100%.
On both sides of the ball, right? This is something we've been missing. We talked before the season, right? We went through the whole roster and we were like, this guy is like a superstar. This
I remember that, right?
Good.
Yeah.
This guy's okay. And this is like a jag or below a jag, right? And we didn't have a lot of guys that we wanted to list as superstars. And honestly, to be fair, I feel like that list is pretty much a wash because there were, through most of the season, we had one superstar, and that was Jaden Daniels. Frankie Louvu showed out though quite a bit, and now he emphatically is a superstar in my eyes. And I love the energy both of them bring, right? And how the team rallies around that. And you see that with Scary Terry as well after his touchdown, just how that empowers the team. Just wonderful stuff there. Now, the defense, I will say, and it was pointed out here, the third quarter, Philadelphia did have that long drive. Now, that was the drive, Stone, that you had mentioned was by and large because Marshawn Lattimore just kept getting beat inside. First couple, maybe not the first one, especially of pass interference where he's being choked. That one probably shouldn't have been called.
AJ Brown's doing this on him, and he's just trying to get his arm off of him. Yeah,
that one shouldn't have been called, but the others were legit. He was out there and he was doing it. He was picking up those pass interference penalties, which, like I said, that's what extended the drive. But even then, a lot of that was they got down to a third down and long, and they were getting Philadelphia in situations where the pass interference was the only thing to bail them out. And it was nice to see that even that they did that. And that was a little bit worrisome because that was the one thing. The clock was the one thing Washington had to worry about because they were down and they needed to score, and they couldn't afford 8-minute drives coming from the Philadelphia Eagles. Well, Angela $5 in the super chat. We appreciate you, Angela, who is going to get a Louvu jersey. She said, maybe over Jaden Daniels for her 10-year anniversary. So that's pretty exciting here. But Angela telling us, so proud of our team and our resilience. They asked JD5 to put the game on his back, and he came through. What a win. Lots of people already calling it a signature win for him. This should lock up Rookie of the Year for him. I mean, we all watched the number 2 contender, Bo Nix, although Bowers has a good opportunity too, is having a good tight end season out there. But 5 touchdowns, a win over a team on a 10-game winning streak. Jaden Daniels absolutely put on his back, and we appreciate you, Angela, for pointing that out here.
Hey, by the way, Nathan, shout out the Dilly Dilly Philly Philly podcast. He says, we'll see you in the playoffs, right? We'll see you in the playoffs. Well, if we meet you all in the playoffs, that means you weren't good enough to get the 1 seed. Oh, you couldn't get the 1 seed. Or we might see you in a 3-6 matchup because you fell all the way to 3rd and we moved up to 6. I get it. You're going to use that excuse. Bad fans, bad is not the right word. Fickle fans, fans who are in their feelings, fans who can't keep it real, what they do is they make excuses. And their excuse is going to be that Kenny Pickett played most of the game. I don't care. I don't care if it was John Pickett or Ralph Pickett. I don't care who was back there. You're 12-2, and if you don't have the depth at quarterback, then that's on you. That means your team isn't good enough. So happy trails to the 1 seed for you. Enjoy either the 2 or 3 seed, and I hope we do see you in the playoffs in Philly. So we're going to smack that team around again. I might be getting a little of my
I feel like that's fair though, Stoner, after this kind of game. And going back to the first game these two teams met, even though Philadelphia did win and it was really only an 8-point game because of a late touchdown, I always felt like Washington it was leading 10-6 in that fourth quarter, right? And then it just kind of fell apart for them. So I didn't feel like they were really out of that game, even though the game ended up getting out of hand for them. And this one, it always felt like we were gonna put it to them and then we would cough it up. And so I do like our chances if these two teams meet in the playoffs. We'll of course have to talk about that when that happens, or if it happens. Washington's still in play, by the way, for the NFC East. Or Philadelphia has to lose to the Giants and the Cowboys. Probably not going to happen, but we did what we needed to do today, getting a victory. One of those things that helped get the victory, Stoner, was special teams.
Oh, yeah.
We had a couple changes there. Luke McCaffrey bringing up the kickoff, and also Jameson Crowder on punt return. Now, Jameson Crowder almost muffed one, almost coughed it up. Didn't though. But Luka McCaffrey, really like what
good.
he was bringing on those kickoff returns. What did you think of the special teams today?
Yeah, special teams were really good. We made all of our extra points and field goals, right? So that's a good thing. I don't even know if we had any field goals, right? We just scored 5 touchdowns, right?
I'm looking at Zane
And a 2-point
Gonzalez here, 0 for 0 on field goal
so he had
attempts.
4 extra points, I believe,
4
right?
extra points, yeah.
So I mean, so that's good there, right? Luke did look good back there. There was a good plan in place too. And then you get a Philadelphia player who doesn't stay in his lane, and he bounces it out to the left side and gets a really nice gain. So yeah, special teams were, and the other side covering on special teams. Tyler Owens was popping some dudes down there on
fantastic hit. You could hear it on the podcast. Yeah. Very, very good there.
And by the way, that first touchdown by Oz, by Zacchaeus, did you notice he caught it off his face mask like he catches his punts?
Yeah.
But he caught it as opposed
he got
to
it.
It hit his helmet first, and then he brought it in.
I'm
like, that's what you do on punt returns. You got to stop catching like that, son. Come on. But he caught it, and that was a massive, I think that was a third down play.
Yeah, and it was a low throw. Like, it was not the best throw, but he got there. Luke McCaffrey, by the way, 6 returns for 184 yards.
Wow, that's almost 30 yards a return. That's pretty good.
Yeah. And then Tress Way, by the way, only 2 punts. When we're talking about how good the offense was against the number 1 defense, he only punt the ball away twice. Like, pretty good opportunities there for Washington. Coaches, of course, did their job, and the players did their job today. No, you don't like the coaches doing the job, Stoner. What you're kind of shaking your head there for our audio listeners. What's going on?
Well, I just have one bone to pick with Dan Quinn, because otherwise I thought Cliff was, look, there's a couple of plays on a 4th and 1, nobody, and I can't emphasize this enough. Nobody wants a quarterback in shotgun on a 4th and 1. Get that young fella under center and either sneak it or give your running back a head of steam. We hated it last year with Sam Howell having your running back next to you and then start his run from there with the ball. Give him a chance to take off for a couple of yards and the full steam ahead when you give him the ball from under center. Anyway, that's nitpicky because they did that on one of the plays. But also I thought in the end of the first half, when they stopped Philly on 3rd down and there was 50 seconds left and they did not call timeout on defense to try and get the ball back. Now, Philly ended up going for it on 4th down anyway and getting it, but coming up short on the kick. But still, I thought he should have called a timeout there and been a little bit more aggressive and hope that they stop him, get the ball back, and have yourself a little time to get down and get a field goal. Other than that, I thought they're adjustments. We complained for years about these coaches not making adjustments. They made adjustments. Defensively, they said, we're tired of Saquon Barkley killing us. Let's put 8 guys in the box. And they stopped him. And it had a lot to do with Kenny Pickett being back there, not Jalen Hurts, but whatever, make the adjustment. And then offensively in the second half, I thought he did a good job. Again, Kingsbury making adjustments. We can't run it. Fine. We're going to dump the ball for 5 yards and be happy with that. And it'll be like a run play. Adjustments. So I give them probably overall, I'll probably give them a B+ on the coaching side. Really, really good job from the coaches in this game.
JG still waiting to hear from Bozo.
He ain't coming back.
Yeah, I was wondering, we called it, Stoner, that a lot of people would be excited about this one, especially if Washington won. And if you're excited, make sure you hit that like button.
Yes, sir.
Subscribe to the channel and share it. Share in the emotion that we have. Philadelphia Eagle fans coming all week at us, Stoner, and we welcomed it. Bozo being one of them, and kind of quiet right now. Of course, I got a couple of Eagles fans in there, and it was great. Teflon done. Eagles cry. Yeah, it was.
I need that next one, Nathan. I need to understand what Brian's talking about.
Brian here, you didn't want to see our team beat the Eagles, Stoner. I think it was because we predicted the Philadelphia Eagles to win. And I know what it is, Stoner, because you said this was not a game Washington needed to win. So it made it sound like Washington, you were okay that Washington was going to lose. Maybe
I didn't say I didn't want to see them win. I said that this game wasn't as important to win as the next game against Atlanta. Still is important to win that game.
People can check
But
the tape.
having
We
said it,
always want Washington to win.
Come on.
Last year, we got in trouble with a lot of people because everyone was team tank. And here we are on Ref the District going, no, you win games. That's what you need to do, is win football games. Now, I'm kind of glad we didn't win football games in retrospect, because we end up with Jaden Daniels as a quarterback today. He had a fantastic day. And we're going to get right now into our no-gos and go-gos, Stoner.
All right.
Who is your no-go here? Because we like to do the negatives first. We like to end on the positives here. I got to actually switch up the branding on this one to make sure that it comes out the right way here.
Oh, no-gos and go-gos?
Yeah, if you have a no-go for today, make sure you put it in the chat if you're watching this one live.
Let's see. So my no-go, I mean, just the penalties were ridiculous. How many there were and how bad they were. Let's see. I'm kind of thinking. Give me a second here to just kind of think across the board. You know what? Let's kick a guy while he's down. Benjamin St. Juste comes into the game and gets not that he didn't have decent coverage on AJ Brown in that play, but you have to know that it's 4th and 7, and he catches the ball 5 yards downfield. You don't have to go flying at him. You just have to grab him and put him down. And that would have ended all of the talk about the next series or whatever, when Devontae Smith dropped the ball or whatever. You got to make that tackle. You're not in there because of plays like that. So I guess I'll just kick a guy while he's down, and I'll go with Benjamin St. Juste. I have soured on him so bad.
Yeah, Trev would be proud. Yeah. Trev would be proud. It is hard because we went to bat for him. He will not always in position, but he's in position a lot. He just doesn't turn around his head. He gets those silly penalties. Today, thankfully, didn't cost us the game. Marshawn Lattimore, though, did have several pass interference ones before going out with an injury. A lot of people here, including Armand, mentioning Lattimore as the no-go, more blue tent time than field time. Lattimore hurt again. That's a no-go coming from Gregory. Dominic agreeing with you. No-go on Benjamin St. Juste there. TJ, no-go for the first half.
Good call.
Jack Miller, the turnovers. Absolutely.
Unbelievable.
Gus here with mine. I'm going to agree with this one. No-go. Not going to Chris Rodriguez consistently after B-Rob's 2 fumbles. It felt like they wanted to show Brian Robinson that they trusted him and kept giving him the ball. And I just felt like that was the time you needed to move away, right? Hey, it's fine. You fumble the ball twice. Just take a seat. You know, you're not going to be permanently benched. We just need you to kind of relax. You're probably trying to do too much, and you're trying to overachieve, and that causes problems, right? So go to Chris Rodriguez, who can carry the rock for us. And so I'm going to go with that. No go for Brian Robinson. 2 turnovers today. Yeah, I didn't even think about uncharacteristic, but that's got to be JG is agreeing with me.
I mean, look, we've been calling. Well, okay, I've been calling B-Rob a Jag for 3 years.
Sure,
and I think he is. I think he's a little bit better than a Jag. I don't think he's your run of the mill, but I mean, he's who's the guy before Saquon last year got to Philly? Who's
Boston
now
Scott or
maybe, or
they had like four people. Oh, you probably mean Swift, right? They had Swift out there.
He's DeAndre Swift.
Sure.
Not in style of running. I'm just talking about in terms of what he means to a football team. He's DeAndre Swift. He's all these other guys that are basic. I mean, just look on the other side of the field and look at Saquon Barkley. I mean, obviously, that's a dude. Right? He can change the game in a second. And there are guys like that, the Christian McCaffreys, the Derrick Henrys, the Joe Mixons of the world. And then there's everybody else. And that's what Brian Robinson is. You're not going to sign him to an extension. You're not going to,
he's not a core piece, right? Like he's
not a core piece. He's got 1 more year next year, and then he's going to be moving on to the next team.
Yep, I agree. And I agree with some of the comments when talking about drafting a running back and what type of running back and everything. We're going to be moving all that talk all the way into the well past in the after the postseason, because Washington is going to be in the playoffs, and I'm going to call the shot right now, Stoner.
Yeah,
they're going to be in the second round of the playoffs too. So just going to call that right here, right now on this instant reaction over the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, let's move on to our go-go's here while we're all pumped up and excited. Sure. Who is your go-go? Now, reminder for those in the chat, we have a Don't Sleep player of the game coming up. So you don't want to put your go-go on the best player. The go-go is somebody you want to give props to.
Yeah.
And who's not going to win. They get a game ball, right? But they don't get the game ball. So let's hear those go-go's here.
Yeah, okay. So I won't do I'm not going to say Luke McCaffrey for his returns because they were good.
Are we going to cheat again? We're cheating here, Stoner?
I'm cheating. And I'm not going to say Frankie Louvu, even though he was an absolute beast today.
Really good.
But I'm going to go with the guy. Again, we talked a little bit about him earlier, but Sheldon Day really popped in this game. He was in the backfield a lot against a really, really good offensive line. And he was making some tackles. And all of a sudden, the guy gets up, and he's number 64. And everyone's going, who in the bleep is 64? Right? And then you're going, oh, yeah, that's that Sheldon Day guy I think he's we looked him up. I think he's 32 years old, right? He's been around forever. But, man, he's doing some things on that defensive line that you need when Saquon Barkley is starting to run over your team. And he's saying, I'm done with this. And it's not – Deron Payne was good too, right? Mm-hmm. I watched a couple plays with Johnny Newton. He's just getting blown off the ball sometimes. He does make some plays, but – that's what you need, guys like that. So I'm giving my go-go to Sheldon Day. Good on you, big fella.
Yeah, that pretty good one. Doug giving Crowder the go-go. Gregory giving Louvu the go-go here.
Great.
Those are great ones. Armand here, go-go. Jamison Crowder, Grizzly Vet stepped up, got that touchdown as well. Jesse calling that one as well, coming off of the IR, and just absolutely good stuff there. I wanted to give it to Luke. Luke did great, but she said, you already called his name. Crowder was one of the names that's listed over there. So I'm going to give the go-go to Olamide Zacchaeus. I probably messed up his first name, but Oz is going to get my go-go in here. 5 receptions, 70 yards, 2 touchdowns against his former team.
Love it.
And honestly, he didn't have the greatest game, but he had key plays for Washington. That second touchdown where he just weaved through people on his way down the way there. Great stuff coming out from Oz. We need wide receivers to step up. We know Terry McLaurin is wide receiver 1. And today we had wide receivers. We didn't even mention De'Ami Brown. 4 catches, 56 yards off of 5 targets. Of course, 51 of those 56 yards were on a deep ball to De'Ami Brown. But we needed that. We needed those kind of plays. And today was one of those days we saw the wide receivers step up. Too often, Stoner, we've seen the running backs and tight ends be the leading receivers for this team in this offense. Brian Robinson had 2 catches today. He's the leading running back or tight end as far as the catches were concerned. This was a wide receiver game, and that is why part of the reason why Oz is going to be my go-go. So lots of good ones in here as well. We're going to get to those here in a little bit, but let's go ahead, Stoner, and talk about our Don't Sleep player of the game. Of course, Don't Sleep Energy has all of your energy needs over at don'tsleepenergy.com. It's a local DMV company. You can go support them and support the channel by using the code DISTRICT over at don'tsleepenergy.com. Don't Sleep Energy. It makes you great.
Yes, it does.
And greatness was today. And I think we all know who the Don't Sleep player of the game is. And I think we can just call it right now. Stoner on 3. 1, 2, 3. Jaden Daniels. There's zero question there. 5 touchdowns, great moments, just absolutely fantastic play coming from the rookie which they talked about on the broadcast as well. He's not playing like a rookie. He's there's talk about next year already, and sophomores tend to have slumps and maybe not look as good as they were as a rookie. And there's talking about how, yes, Gregory, Jaden Daniels, rookie of the year, obviously going to win.
He's going to get rookie of the week again.
Yeah,
break the record
easily.
Most rookies of the week
easily. But this is a player who people are already thinking next year will be good too. That he plays like a veteran already, where you're not seeing this as a lucky thing, despite the fact that we did have an Eagle fan in here a little upset with the loss, saying how he was awful. But yeah, Jaden was phenomenal on fourth down. He was doing everything. Stevie, Jaden Daniels, cool as a fan under pressure. Just wonderful stuff as well. Yeah. Jaden Daniels, fantastic game.
I mean, if you look at those 5 throws, those 5 touchdown throws, Nathan, right? So there was the one to Terry, which was obscene throw on the blitz where he had a guy in his face again, and he threw an absolute perfect pass. Then the 2 throws to Zacchaeus, and then you had the throw to Crowder. I don't even remember who the 5th one was to. You got 1 to Crowder, 2 to
So 2 to Oz and 2 to Crowder, actually.
2 to Crowder.
2 to Crowder, 1 to Terry, 2 to Zacchaeus.
But just think about some of those throws that he had. Left, right, middle, short, dump offs. And which makes a great quarterback already. If he did nothing but that, he would be a top 10 quarterback. Those throws that he's making, the progression that he's making, the patience that he's showing, the ability to stand there and take a hit on the throws, which he's done many times this year, and still deliver a perfect pass, knowing he's going to get blown up. All of that, if you just looked at that, top 10 quarterback. And then you add his ability to run the ball, either by design or scrambling. And that puts him on a whole different level. And I'm not saying he's higher than top 10 right now, but I promise you this, he will be very, very soon. He's right on that edge because he's a game changer. He's the reason they won this game. He's the reason they got 4th down pickups. He's the reason that Washington is 10-5 for the first time since 1991.
Yeah.
The first time that after 15 games, they have 10 wins since 1991. The first 10-win season since 2012. It's because of Jaden Daniels. He's the number one reason. So don't ever let anybody tell you any different about Jaden Daniels. Don't let any fan from any other team say this or that, or he can't throw left, or all he does is
over the middle, all that. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't let anybody tell you that, because the tape is there. Just say, go look at the tape. He's him, and we're lucky to have him.
One of my favorite throws actually came early, and it wasn't a completion, but it was just amazing. It was another one. He had pressure coming at him, and he's throwing off his back foot, like he's falling backwards, and he throws sidearm to get around the defender that's coming right at his face, and it is an absolute dart on a rope straight to Zacchaeus's face.
Right.
Slay ends up making a great defensive play, knocks it away, if you remember that play. But that ball could not have been any more on target. And if Zacchaeus actually goes towards the ball instead of waiting for it to come to him, he probably catches it, and that's a first down. But, I mean, just for him to going backwards, throwing it sidearm to get around the thing, and just an absolute rope was just unbelievably good here. We got a few things more to talk about. I forgot Jesse Mills did have an early go-go. Luke on kickoff returns. We talked about him. Crowder coming off. Absolutely. That was a good one.
Crowder played last week too, by the way.
Yeah, but I mean, it was still a good game for him coming back and really kind of being in there. Timothy calling out all those Eagle fans as well, because all the Eagles fans, well, this would have been a different game, right? Timothy says they still had their defense, offensive line, and Saquon Barkley. I don't care. Take
Nice.
all of your excuses, Philadelphia fans, and keep the L. All right.
Take it,
Timothy just absolutely nailing that one for us. Tom asking us, have we clinched with this game? No, we have not. We did get closer to the playoffs, but Atlanta winning today meant that we could not clinch. We do clinch next week with a win over the Falcons. So that'll be a game to watch.
Or-
One of the reasons why they flexed that game.
Yeah. Or if you do lose that game, all you have to do is beat Dallas the next week, regardless of what Atlanta does.
Yeah.
Because Atlanta can't get to 11 wins. The best they can do is 10.
Sure.
So they can get to 10. If you lose the next 2 games, then you're out of the playoffs.
You need some help.
Assuming that Atlanta wins their last 2 games.
Yeah, their final game.
So your favor to get in, your percentage of getting into the playoffs has skyrocketed with this win, but it's not quite there yet. Did the Rams win today?
I would have to check. I think they might play later. Angelus has it right here. You stay winning. That's what you do. You just keep winning, get those wins and keep on moving. We have Scooby again. All I want to know, Stoner.
Yeah.
Are we frauds?
No, we're not frauds anymore. You got that signature win. They were frauds up until now. So you are frauds. The information is there. All I can do is go with the information that you have. And so they were frauds there, but now they're not frauds anymore. Mm-hmm. Absolutely not. So Rams beat the Jets. But if Minnesota beats Seattle, which they're up 17-7 now, that takes the NFC West out of the equation for tiebreakers. So then all it is Atlanta loses once. The rest of the year, Washington wins. Atlanta's got 2 games left. One's against Washington. If they lose either game, then Washington is in the playoffs. So win next week, you're in. It's that simple.
That's it.
Lose,
that's all you got to do.
You still got a shot if you win the following week.
Yeah. But we just want to see them win. And as Locked On Law reminds us, a win is a win.
Yeah.
We'll talk about all the negatives on Wednesday. We did start with some of the negatives today, but we did get a victory. And he says, wait, no, we won't. You're right. It is Christmas this week, so we will not have a show on Wednesday. I will be live on Thursday night. That's Boxing Day. So you can catch us live Thursday, 6:30 this week. Normally live on Wednesdays. We appreciate everybody jumping here in the chat and joining us here as the Washington Commanders win despite 5 turnovers, 36-33 over the Eagles. We'll be live again on Thursday. I'm Nathan. That's the Stoner. We're brought to you by Don't Sleep Energy and Bet Online. And until next time,
signature win, Nathan. Signature win.
Be a fan.